lives in my head rent-free. I really enjoyed fantasy this year. Abby Jimenez knows how to write a book boyfriend. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my favorite books of 2024. So as you can tell, I'm a little bit sick in this video. My aesthetic is going to be tea and tissues. We're just gonna go ahead and film it, and I have a lot of books to talk about. I wish I could talk about all of the amazing reads I read this year, but I had to pick and choose 1 or 2 per month. There's some months where I had really great months and most of the books I read that month were amazing, and I wish I could talk about them, but I had to pick and choose. So let's get started with the first month. The first month of the year, in January, I read the Avatar series, and so my faves of that month are these books. So A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Wings and Ruin. These books, I think about them to this day. I have thought about these characters, about this series all year. It's just top series, top books, top everything of the year. So all these are my faves. I would not be able to pick a top favorite of the year, but these are up there. Both of these were amazing, so good. This series just lives in my head rent-free. The definition of lives in my head rent-free is this series. It's just, these characters are, I'm always thinking about them. Every like meme I see on TikTok or everything relates to them. I'm like, oh, like so-and-so would love that. So-and-so would do this. They live in my head rent-free. I'm not even going to talk about the series just because you probably know about it. And if you don't and you plan on reading it, go in blind. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to move on. This is for the month of January. Okay, so in the month of February, I read Powerless, and this was one of my favorites of the year. As you can see, the tabs, the amount of underline and like highlight in this book is crazy. Just, I loved it. This was so good. The tension between these characters, the banter, everything that you want in an enemies to lovers, it had. This one was so good, and honestly, I haven't even read the second book. I read I think it's a novella after this one, but the actual second book, like continuing the story, I haven't read, and I'm just a little bit nervous because I've heard mixed reviews on it, and this one was just such a top book for me that I'm kind of scared to read it. But this book, enemies to lovers, romantasy, if that's what you're into, you're gonna like this. I don't like to say much about romantasies just because I like to keep those very vague, spoiler free. I prefer going into fantasies blind. So if you're like that, I don't like to say anything at all. So this one, so good. I had 2 top favorite books. I couldn't leave this one out. One of my favorite books of the year. One of my favorite books by this author. Bride by Allie Hazelwood. Again, look at those tabs. It is so beautiful. This book was so good. Again, another tension, banter, enemies to lovers kind of. Is enemies to lovers? A little bit. It's an arranged marriage, so there's some tension there. Obviously, they don't want to be together, like they're in an arranged marriage. This is Allie Hazelwood's like first paranormal romance. He's a werewolf. She's a vampire. He's also like, he turns human. Imagine Jacob in Twilight. That's him. He's the alpha, and she is the daughter of the like vampires. He's like the leader. His dad and him make an arrangement so they can get married, and there could be some type of truce between both of them because in their world, werewolves, vampires do not mix. And so they created this so maybe there could be some friendship or something. I really enjoyed this one. It's so good. Since the beginning, I was giggling and kicking my feet because it's just so good. Something about an arranged marriage would do it every time. I loved it so much. I think I have like 4 copies of this book. Do you want to see them? I think you do. Okay, so I have my paperback copy of Bride, which I read and annotated. I also have the Afterlight exclusive. This one has like the... Oh, it's so gorgeous. Every time I look at it, I'm just like... This scene, if you've read this book, you know that peanut butter jelly scene is so good. It's just beautiful. This is the steamy lit cover. I'm obsessed with this one. This one is just the dust jacket. Do I need multiple copies of the same book? Actually I do. Then I have this one is Eternal Embers, I believe. I'm obsessed with this one. It's so good. This one again is just the dust jacket, but it's just so cute. It looks I display it here with my special editions, and it's just so beautiful. The month of March, my favorite book was A Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I bedazzled this copy, so if you see something shiny on it, I bedazzled it. This was my favorite book of March. So good. Our first romance of this video. Her books will never disappoint. This book has mental health rep. They just don't like each other because I think they're competing for the same job at the hospital, and she just doesn't like him. She's never liked him, and she starts realizing that he's not that bad, and they spend time together, and it's just so cute. I wish I could explain all the cute moments in this, but you're gonna have to read it if you haven't picked it up. One of my favorite books of the year. One of my favorite Abby Jimenez book. So if you haven't picked this one up, please do. It's amazing. Okay, so the month of April, I actually don't have a copy of the book, but it's Funny Story by Emily Henry. I can't believe I don't have a copy. I was gathering up all my books for this video and realized I don't have a copy of Funny Story, but I think it's because I was waiting for the paperback to release, and if I'm not wrong, it might be out already. But Funny Story, another Emily Henry book, auto buy author for me. I'm just gonna buy her books every time. I love her writing. I love her characters. I know that this book was not a favorite among other readers, but personally I really enjoyed it. I really like the character of Miles. I know a lot of people didn't really like him, or they're not like, he's not a favorite, but personally I really liked him, and this story was just so good. I just love the way that Emily Henry writes, and her stories are more than just like a romance. They always have some depth to it. They always have like some backstory, and her characters are just so complex, and it's more than just your typical rom-com. So Funny Story is actually about two people who get dumped, so their exes end up getting together, and that's how they end up meeting. I think they have to be roommates for a bit because I think her boyfriend kicked her out, and then he still has a lease with his ex-girlfriend, and so they spend a lot of time together. That's kind of what brings them together. I really did enjoy these characters, so if that's what you're into, definitely pick up Funny Story. So my favorite book of May was A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber. This is book 3 in the series. I don't know what the series is called, but this is an autographed copy. My local bookstore had it and I picked it up. This book, again, another fantasy. I really enjoyed fantasy this year, romantasy specifically, but this book, I'm not going to talk about the plot because this is book 3. If you haven't read this series, it's very magical, very like castles and gowns and magic, and our main character, Jax, love him so much. Every single book was so good. I think my favorite was A Ballad of Never After, the second book, but this book was my favorite of the month that I read that month. So yeah, this was my favorite of May. Okay, so my favorite book for June was Elsie Silver's Wild Love. This is the first book in her new series, the Rose Hill series. I love being back with Elsie Silver. Her writing is just bingeable. Her characters are so cute. Her town, like her ambiance, everything that she creates, her universes are so perfect and comforting. Being back with her was amazing, and this couple did not disappoint. It is a small town. He's a billionaire, single dad, and our main character, I think she's asking for a job to be his nanny. So like all of that, you're gonna enjoy Wild Love. July's favorite is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I absolutely love Carly Fortune's writing. Ever since I read Every Summer After, that's one of my favorite books. I think I read that last year. One of my favorite books by her. The way that she can set an ambiance and set like a scene and just make you feel like you're there, I love it. Like, she can put you into a story, and I really enjoyed this one. Lucy goes to Prince Edward Island and she meets this guy, Felix, and he shows her like a good time, and like they end up connecting. She doesn't know that it's her best friend's younger brother, and so they're like, we need to stay apart, we can't be together, this is just not right, we can't do this. But every year they decide to spend some time together here. So she will fly out and like they will hang out and just be together every year. That's kind of like the past, that's been happening in the past. We're now in the future, and it is past present timeline. Personally, I love that. Our main character's best friend, she is about to get married in a week, and she drops everything and flies out to Prince Edward Island. And so our main character Lucy flies out to try to help her, and there's obviously history with her brother, and it's just, you kind of going back past and present, and you know what was going on and you don't know what's going on now. I really enjoyed their relationship because you get to see them connect and grow in the past, and seeing them not really talk in the present is just difficult. So I really enjoyed this one. My favorite book of August was was Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, another Abby Jimenez book. I just love her writing. This book is about Emma, and she thinks that she's cursed, that every guy she dates breaks up with her, and after they break up with her, they find their love of their life. Justin also thinks he's cursed, and so when they find themselves online, they're like, wait, maybe we can cancel each other's curse out, and if we date, once we break up, we'll find the love of our life. And so they come to agreement to date and hopefully break up and find the love of their life. But you guys know this is a romance, you know how it goes. I really enjoyed this one. The setting, everything was perfect. The characters are perfect. Justin was absolutely amazing. Just Abby Jimenez knows how to write a book boyfriend. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. She knows how to write men. It was written by Abby Jimenez. You're gonna love him. My favorite book of September was a novel love story by Ashley Poston, another bedazzled cover. This book was another favorite just because of the ambiance and the way that the author writes her world and really puts you into the story. And this romance was so unique. It has some of like magical aspects. I know there's a name. It's not magic powers, but it's like I can't think of the word right now, but I'll put it in the screen. Basically, our main character gets stuck in her favorite book's small town, so she gets to like see all the characters and everything that is described in her favorite book she can see and like experience, and she ends up meeting this guy there, and you kind of just get to see that relationship grow, and you kind of know that she's in this like fictional world, and so you're kind of wondering what's gonna happen. And this book just kept me so hooked, and I really enjoyed everything about it. Okay, my favorite books for October, I had two ahead. First of all, Binding 13 by Clay Walsh. I mean, it's just a very emotional, heavy romance. Check trigger warnings. It's just, you're following this high school couple, get to see them meet, and you know that our main character, Shannon, she's struggling, and Johnny, they just needed each other. I'm so glad they found each other, and I can't wait to pick up the next book because I'm so excited. But these books are thick. It was definitely a 5-star for me. Would recommend the series if you want something that will like stay with you for a while. All the characters are so amazing. Okay, so the second book for the month of October, A Dawn of Onyx. This was a 5-star read for me. Another romantasy I really enjoyed. This book surprised me so much because I hadn't seen this book at all until the author reached out to me and sent me her book. I decided to read it, and it surprised me, and I enjoyed it so much. Everything that I love in a fantasy, in a romantasy, this book had. It has magic, it has dragons, it has fae, the tension, enemies to lovers, kind of. Just, it's so good. And there's 3 books. I didn't annotate this book because I just genuinely didn't think I was gonna love it like that. Our main character, Arwen, she gets captured by the king in this other kingdom. There's like a war going on, and so she gets caught by like the opposing kingdom, but she meets this guy in one of the cells, and he's just kind of, she wants him to help her get out of here and like go back home to her family. And it's just the plot twist, the reveals, everything just so good. So good. I have a reading vlog on this book. If you want more reactions, more thoughts, definitely go watch that because this was amazing. And then for the month of November, my favorite book was The X-Files by Jessica Joyce, another romance. I saw everyone raving about this book, so I decided to pick it up because I had already read a book by this author, and this one was my favorite by this author for sure. These 2 characters are exes, and they have to come together to be in a wedding together. They're both the best mans, and they just have to do all these wedding festivities and like wedding prep, and you know that there's history between them. You know that they loved each other and they're broken up, but you don't know why they're broken up. And it's just, I really liked seeing them interact, knowing that there's possible feelings still involved. Eli is such a good book boyfriend. He's definitely top book boyfriend of the year for me, so definitely recommend. That is it for the books, my favorite books of the year. I obviously didn't share my favorite book of December because we're currently still in December. I'm still reading. I'm only on like my 3rd book of the month. I definitely don't have my favorite yet. I definitely wanted to share some of my favorite books this year. I wish I could have shared a lot more, but I had to pick 1 or 2 favorites for each month. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you got some book recommendations, and if you've read any of these, let me know if they were some of your favorites this year as well, or let me know what your top favorite book of the year was, if you can pick a favorite, that is. I personally can't. I could barely pick 1 book for some of these months. Let me know what some of your favorite books this year were because I'm curious. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.